Alright, let's talk to you. Hello, uwu. Jesus Christ. As a whole, single-player games are really great at invoking emotion from the player. From the connection you have to characters in games like Hades, to the gut-wrenching betrayal when Ghost died in Modern Warfare 2, the best part of single-player games to me is their ability to immerse you in a world and make you feel something. Wow, that sounded a bit dark actually. But there's one emotion, or I guess feeling, that games don't often tend to focus on, that being laughter. While sure, many games do have an overall light tone to them, or throw in a cheeky one-liner here and there, it's rare that the main focus of a game actually revolves around getting a laugh out of the player.
Then Reginald comes upstairs and he's all like, "I say, gentlemen, I do believe we're in quite a spot of bother." And everyone else was like, "Really? What tipped you off, genius?" And then Hattie was all like, "Hey, be nice." Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
God, I love that game. So that's where Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion comes in. It was released in April of this year, and it's a puzzle adventure game with a focus on really making the player laugh. It's this super short, concentrated experience that took me about an hour and a half to get through in total, but the sheer amount of jokes that were in the game, and actually landed, was really impressive. Before I go into what makes the comedy in the game work for me, I want to cover why games don't often revolve around jokes. The first is that it's a pitfall of comedy in general. Humor ultimately is very subjective, and as a result, the game isn't going to work for everyone just by the nature of it being focused on being funny. If a developer was tossing up between, say, a fantastical tale in a believable world, or one crammed with jokes, the latter is going to be less accessible for a large audience. Secondly, and more importantly, shit's hard to write. In games like Turnip Boy, comedy is the focal point of what the game has to offer, and that means that the writing has to be flooded with a plethora of jokes that get a good reaction out of the player. It's something that I struggle with personally in writing and editing videos. If I make a joke that I think is hilarious, I have absolutely no way of judging whether or not it's actually going to work until I put it out there and see how people react. Not only is that a little bit scary, it means that there's no real litmus test for me to know how well jokes are going to be working. The same goes for the writing in Turnip Boy. Games take much longer to make than a 4-minute YouTube video, and there's always a real chance things won't stick like you expect them to. Lastly, there's a caveat in terms of an ideal length if the basis of your game revolves around humour. If Turnip Boy was even another 2 hours longer, for example, I think I would have gotten sick of the game and given up on it unless it really did something to refresh itself. The jokes and funny characters are what makes it great, but to me, they're the only interesting thing that the game actually has to offer, so it's a difficult balance of not rushing things and not overstaying your welcome. Undertale's a fantastic example of how to pace jokes well and work them into a complete experience. The overall magnificent writing, creative combat, and smooth pace between jokes and serious moments is why I love that game so much. So I've already kind of alluded to one of the reasons why Turnip Boy succeeds. Its short runtime means that it's rare that the jokes fall flat given the small scope of the game. The number of references and one-liners means that you never really feel bored even if something isn't particularly funny to you from time to time. While there are some creative enough puzzles here and there, the Zelda-like gameplay to me serves more as a vehicle to get the player from point A to point B in a relatively fun way. It's not the core enjoyment of the game, however, and having several hours of that would get very repetitive very quickly. Still, there's the jokes themselves. A fair few of them are inspired by modern internet culture and memes, like having to gift a character a tier 3 sub to progress, or this little guy who's literally just a walking JoJo's reference. I'm not sure how well these would hold up a couple years from now. Hell, they might even actually get more relevant, who knows, but for the time being they did get a good laugh out of me. Obviously, I don't want to go spoiling every single joke in the game, but there's plenty of ones that aren't based around references that still work. The plant-based characters themselves throughout the game are really unique and memorable as well, setting up for solid callbacks, and are overall just pretty damn charming for the short adventure. It's much funnier to tear up a love letter, for example, when you know it's from just a sweet, innocent, sentient strawberry. Oh god, am I the problem? Ultimately, the best games to me either have really strong mechanics or excel at developing emotions within the player. Not every game needs to be some dramatic epic, and sometimes you need a cute, short, hilarious little game like Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion to come along and brighten up your day. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.